Well, welcome back to part 2. So at the end of part 1, if you haven't seen that, I will put a link in the description below and you can go and check that out. But we found out that we were starting to get a bit of noise in the video picture, and the more I sort of left it going, it sort of slowly got worse, and then it would go and come and go and come. So I decided that, as we said at the end of the last one, I think we need to open up the power supply and just check it and redo the caps if they need doing, I think, and see if that gets rid of our issues with noise on the screen. Okay, so we'll go and do that. Okay, so I've just moved that out of the way. So this is the power supply for the Yamaha MSX PC. Looking at the power supply, it has two different types of screws, a larger one this side and a smaller one this side, so it's not hard to get them mixed up. So what we'll do is we'll undo the case. Now this is pretty straightforward compared to the MSX to open up. There is still a couple of little tricks inside that'll help you opening these up. The other nice thing is on the back of these power supplies there is a power out diagram for the funny 13-pin DIN plug they have on them. So some of you might have thought I said DIN, but DIM, but it's actually a DIN plug, D-I-N. So that's the 4 screws, so we'll put those into one of our containers. So, and from here, this will gently just rock and pop off. And we turn it over and put it aside. And you can't get this mucked up when you go to put it back on because of the two different size holes. So put that aside. Now this unit should just lift straight out of the top. So if we gently just give it a pry up, and it should come out. And why I say gently pry is because this power LED goes through the hole in the top of the lid. As you can see there's that little wee hole. The big hole's for the power switch. So we just need to be gentle with that so we don't destroy that. Now to get into the power supply is 6 screws around the outside. Now these are all the same size, so you don't need to worry about what screws go where in this. So let's quickly get rid of the big screwdriver so you can actually see a little bit easier with the smaller one. Maybe not. I need to put a bigger head on that one. Let me just use this one for now. There's not many screws in this, so it's just basically holding the case together. Right, so that's those screws, so I'll put those in the container. And because they're a nickel plated and the other ones were black painted, I'll put them into the same container. Right, so now what I'll do is we're going to get a little bit more involved, so if you want to hang on for us, it'll be a sec for you and it'll be a couple of secs for me. I'll zoom the camera down for you so you can actually see a bit better. Okay, so there we are, we're zoomed down, a bit better picture. So now what we do is we just gently pop the lid off. It's just a push fit on there. Now there's not a lot of wire under here from the switch to the board, so we just gently want to lean it over to one side. And if I rock it over, you can actually see it's a very, very short wire in there, but it does go to that white plug on the board, this one here, which we can actually unplug. But be aware, the LED is actually soldered to the board. It doesn't actually unplug off the board. There is a way of getting this off. I tend to find it's not too much of a big issue, so I actually leave this shield on, but I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So we just pinch the little clip on it, rock it back at the boards, and it will pop off. And then the shield is quite easy to move around. Now on the bottom here, on this LED, there is actually a screw in here. Now if you're worried and you want to get this out of the way, you can undo the screw and the LED will come away with the cord on it, and it's easier to move things around. I tend to leave it on there and just take this with it, so it's not a big issue for me. But one thing I will say is that if you do take the LED off, when you put it back on, just hand tighten the screw. Don't do it over tight, because when you go to put it back on, you're going to have to try and line it up with a hole in the lid. Okay, so not a hard thing to do, but just, yeah, I'll take you through that step when we get there. Now we have this open. This wire here that's hanging around is the earth wire. Now when you take the top of the case off, this is actually in between the two bits of metal, so this goes between this piece and the lid, so that sits in there. Now there is a way to line that up. You're thinking, my God, how am I going to do this? There is a way of lining that up when you go to put it back together, and a couple of useful little ways of doing it, and I'll show you those when we get back to putting it back together. So with this off, now you may be thinking that this has got those horrible strain reliefs on both ends, so how am I going to get this out? Well, they did a really nice design with this, and if you can see it on the end here, see those there on the ends? Those are two little tabs, and they're like a C, and the metal goes down in between them, so they slide out, and it holds it in place. And you actually see, as I gently slide it, see how that slides out? And now behind it you'll see there's this other metal tab, and this other metal tab is the back of it, and that stops it moving around. So it was really nice design. So it also saves a lot of headache getting these out. One thing to also remember, see the holes at the bottom here? They're vent holes, so they need to go to the bottom here when you put it back in. So the other side is exactly the same, so it's just gently slide it up and that'll pop up, and then from that we can rock it slightly, and then the power board comes out all complete. And we can take the metal shield and put it aside. Now one thing to remember is when you take this out, see this hole down here? That goes to the mains input where the power switch is side. So this is the base for this power, for the power supply goes on this side. So this is the main side. If you try to put it the wrong way around, nothing's going to fit properly and the lid won't fit on properly. So just one thing to remember is where this big gap is at the bottom, that is where the power switch end goes on the base of this when you put it back. So here we have it there. So what I'm going to do is these can't come off, the cords can't come off, they're actually soldered to the board, and I don't see the sense in desoldering it all just to do a few capacitors. So what I'm going to do, I don't have these two here, so I'm just going to check them, take them out and check them with my ESR meter, which I have here. And what it'll do is it'll go through and tell us if the capacitors are any good or not. So I'll do that with those two big ones. And they're only filter caps, and they generally don't go. They have been known to go, mainly in PC power supplies where you got a lot more current and that going through them. But I will check these. If there's nothing wrong with these, I'll put them back in. It just saves the customer waiting another 4 or 5 weeks for them to come in. And I'll replace the other capacitors that are on here, because as I say, I'm just wondering if that's where the issue is. I mean, I could test them all and then but I think these I have values for, so I'll just whip them out and replace them, and then we know for sure that in 3 months time or so they're not going to go bad on us. Alrighty, so I'll get to and do that, and I said it's quite easy. I just gently move that out over, and then gently turn the board over so I can get to the bottom of it and desolder the capacitors. So anyway, I'll be back with you in a few secs. Well, I went through and pulled them out and replaced all the dud ones. Well, we're picking that they're dud, so we might as well do it. Those two big capacitors, they did seem to test okay, so I put them back in. So I mean, they seem to be fine. So fuses seem to be fine, diodes seem to be fine. So everything else in here seems to be okay. The earthing seems to be all fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all back together, and it's basically the reverse procedure of what we started with, and we'll just step back through that and put it all back together and test it and make sure she's all working fine. So put the base down, and once we have the base, remember this end with the power switch goes to where the hole is in the bottom of this metal plate here. And so what we do is we gently put it in on an angle, and then it's a little fiddly, but we just move these metal pieces out to the sides for now, and then the power supply will pop in. So what we do is we just get the board and get it just resting over the screws, where the screws go in. And what we do is take these and we just slide it down and make sure it goes between the two sets of fingers that hold it in, and that just makes it nice and tight and it doesn't move around. And as you might be able to see from this other end here, if I get it at a right angle, you can see how it's like it's got a little stepped gap in there. So, and also remembering, guys, that the holes in the bottom go down to the bottom of the metal casing, because that is to do with, as I said, cooling, so, and ventilation. So this one goes in, slides down, move the board in a fraction, that's up, and then that pops down, and it just seats down tight onto the bottom of the case, and then they stay there, they're not going anywhere. When the lid goes on, that'll actually hold everything in place. That will hold everything in place, and these won't come off, so, because this lid is slightly longer than what the actual case is. So as I was saying to you before, there is a trick to getting this earth strap in between the two bits of metal, and two things you can use is a pair of long nosed tweezers, thin ones if you got them. The other thing I suggest, if you're looking for some handy little tools, is on AliExpress you can pick up dentist tools, and they come in a kit with tweezers and probes and all sorts of things, and they have some really neat little tools. And there's these ones here, and as you can see, this one end, this one here, is a long flat blade. It's actually a wide blade that tapers in. The other end is actually the opposite way around. It's thin this way, but it's fat the other way. And they're really, really good if you want to get in and pick things out or align stuff. And now this is what I'm heading to. So with both of these, either one, if you don't have these, that's fine, just use these. But I would say if you can get, and they're not dear, you know, it's probably like about 12-15 bucks for a set, and they're stainless steel. And I've used them for so many different things. So I mean, it's just a hint there. If you want to, you can do that. So what I recommend you do, this I prefer because it is longer. So what I do is I pick the case up, I pop this through the top hole, just like that. And then what I do is I pick up the earth lead, I thread it on, and then I thread it into the screw hole on the bottom of the case. Just got to move the board forward a bit, it's actually not in the right place at the moment. That's better. So we go through that, and then get it in the right place. And we get it down into the bottom hole. And there it is. Now that's got everything aligned now. They're all sitting in a line. And so then what we can do is get the case. We can, without worrying about losing our lead in the right place, we can move the case to the right place and then snap the lid on. Now with that in place, what we can do is we can pop in 1 or 2 screws on here, which will hold the lid down, slide this out, hold this down, and then slide this out, and we can put our screw in there. So we just put a couple of screws to hold it down. So our container with our screws in it and some other bits. So we don't want the big black ones because they're for the plastic case. Take those out. So it's the actual 6 of the small ones we want. So these 6 small ones we want. So we'll screw the couple of these in. Start one on this corner. And as I said to you before, what I prefer to do is sort of offset the screws when you put them in, and it tends to keep everything squarer. It just stops it all from getting twisted, or then the holes don't align, and you don't start having all those sort of issues with it. It was a stray screw from a laptop, so we don't need that. And get the thread, and that's sometimes you find that with these, when you go to do the screw up in the metal, you find it goes in and it binds and it won't go right the way through. All you do is, when you got it in the hole, if you're not too sure, with your screwdriver, just a little bit of pressure on it, a wee bit of pressure on the top, and just gently turn it backwards, and then you'll hear it go click. Now once it goes click, that's where it's at the beginning of the thread, and just gently start screwing it, and then it screws all the way down. Okay, so that's just another thing you can do. So what we'll do is we'll take this up, gently pop it out. The holes, everything should be still aligned in there perfectly. So we'll pop this screw in. This one is bound up, so what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll go back, and there we go, and it just found its hole. So that's what you do. If you're finding you're getting them binding, just do that. Just gently go back, wait until it goes click and it drops down into the thread, and then you can just double check that that's right, and then away you go. Other times you get them, you screw them in, and they line up straight away. Right, so this is all done, and as I said with this, if you undone this, only nip that screw up hand tight. Don't over tighten it, because you want this to wiggle a little bit, this LED, because when we go and put this lid back on, we've got to get that LED to line up with its little hole in the top of the lid. So what we'll do is we'll now take this, and there are these stands where the screws go in. They go through these 4 holes. So what we'll do is we'll get that, and we'll get that to slide down, gently come down. Now with that LED down, you can actually see it's not actually sitting in there. So what we do is then we gently move it around, and the LED will pop in. And there we have it. You can see it there, the LED's popped in. And that's what I say, if you do leave that, it's not going to make a big issue if it's not overly tight, because it is only an LED and it's not holding anything down. So what that will do is that just allows you to line it up and get it in. And then with this, just turn it over, and remember to go in the right way. The diagram goes towards the power out plug. So you just go, that's the easiest way to remember that, which has the 2 smaller holes in it. So that just comes down, sits over the top, and that clips on. And we get our screws. And our screwdriver, and this end is the large ones. So I don't know if this is going to reach. Oh yeah, it reaches. So same thing here, you wind it back until it goes click. Put that in, go on and do them over tight until we get the others in. Come down over this side. That's us. That one clipped in. We can go this one. I have to use a slightly bigger screwdriver because the heads are, I've got to put the bigger head on this one. It's good for doing really fine stuff, but when you do these bigger screws, it tends to want to slip. So I'll just swap screwdrivers over, one with a slightly bigger head on it, You don't want to go mad with these, just take it down so it's then hand tight and it's not going to wiggle around. That's it. It's all nice and tight. Right, so now what I'll do is I'll just move these out of the way. And what I'll now do is I'll get the MSX and plug it back in, and let's see if this has cured our problem with the noise on the screen. Right, so here we have the MSX. So I will plug the power into the back of it. I still haven't screwed the MSX all back together yet. It is still loose at the moment. So just to make sure. So the way things are going with this thing, I'm just a bit dubious to actually screwing everything right back together with the few issues that are starting to pop up. So that, and we want a set of video leads. Video, and that's audio. Now you might have said, oh well, the noise could have been the actual video leads. I have actually swapped them around and it's made no difference. I actually tried a different set of leads. It made no difference. So yes, it's not the leads. So what I'll now do is I will turn it on, and let's hope our issue is fixed. So we go, power it up, turn it on the side, and screen. Yep, she's coming up. Oh yes, that's a lot better. Yes. Lot better. Yep. No, that noise is all gone now. Yeah. No, that's way better. Yep. No, that's good. So right, so that's all come up fine. So now what I will do is just check it out, make sure everything's working. So try the keys, the garbage coming up on the screen when I'm typing. So that seems to be fine. So oh, it's just turned itself off on me and I haven't even touched the power switch. So not to come back. Oh, it's starting back up again. Okay, so what's going on here? Oh, started up. Okay, it's starting okay. Yep. Okay, it all seems fine. So I'll turn the power pack off. I'll turn it back on, and I've left the machine turned on because they have a power switch on here and a power switch on the power pack. So and it seems to have started up okay. So yeah, no, that seems to be okay. Yeah, that seems to be alright. So I'll switch it off on the MSX now and switch it on. No, nothing. Right? What's going on here? Switch it off. Switch it on. Yeah, it's going. Okay, and now it's turned itself off again. Why? What the? I think we need to have another look at this. There's something not quite right. And I know it's not the power pack because that's got a steady voltage coming out. I think we need to have a look at this. There's something else is going on with this thing. So we'll turn it all off and I'll just pop the keyboard off. Off and over and pop the cables out. Okay, drop that over to one side. I'll pop this up. And we'll just gently take the shield out. Let's see what's going on, shall we? Now, everything seems to be alright. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong there. So, well, the keyboard and that's not actually plugged in, and what I'm going to do is turn the power on and just see it's still plugged into the monitor. So I'll turn the power on. I'm not worried about the keyboard not being plugged in. I just want to see what's going on and whether it could be a dodgy wire around here or something. So I'll turn the power back on, and we go to turn the PC on. No, nothing. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, no. Ah, okay. I think I know what the problem is. Yes, I think I know what the problem is. Alright, so what we'll do, we'll turn you off. We'll unplug these guys. And what I'll do is I'll take this unit back out again. You don't need to watch me do that. I'll just whip it around and I'll take this unit out and we'll have a look at the switch, eh? So bear with me guys, it'll be a couple of seconds for you. Okay, so I've got that all undone. I'm not taking the back unit right off. I've just unplugged this cable that runs across to the power board. So what we'll do is now we'll pop this up. I will undo the one off the motherboard and pop this out. So what we can do is we can actually unplug it off the board if we need to, but the whole thing's got to come out to do it. So what I'll do is I'll just get a multimeter and check the switch. Oh, no, did I lose? No. This is what I'm saying about the screws. I should have put them in a container. That's one. The other one is down here somewhere. Where are you? There he is. So I'll pop these up and put them in a container. We're not going to lose them. Okay, so now I've got this. I'll get a multimeter, and it's not a flash meter, guys. It's not like some of these guys on the internet have. They have their flukes and all these weird and wonderful far out flashy multimeters. It's a basic standard multimeter. This one doesn't even beep. And some of them go, oh my god, you need something that beeps. It's handy, it's not a necessity. There are a few circuits around to adapt your meters to bleep. And what we'll do is we may look at that. There's a few DIY circuits around, and we may look at something like that a little bit later on. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll check the switch. And off, it's off. The other way, yeah, nothing there, eh? Yeah. Yep, I think, sorry. I think the switch is dodgy. Alright, so I do not have the right switch. So I'm going to have to pop over the hill and or down the road and grab one from J-Car. So I'll do that, and for you guys it'll only be a few seconds. For me it's probably going to be about 3/4 of an hour to an hour before we're back online again. So I'll see you in a few. Hey guys, I'm back. So yeah, this is that faulty switch. I didn't have anything this physical size. They had some that were smaller or some that were bigger, and I didn't want to ruin the case for the customer, so I just went over and bought a couple. The ones I got are exactly the same, but they're a round. They're actually a round switch on the top, not a square one like this. And these ones were a single inline pins, with the ones I got are dual inline, so they'll handle a little bit more current. So, but other than that, the mounting's the same, the sizes are the same, other than those few little cosmetic things, which are not a major. I mean, the switch, you don't see it when it's on. The switch, you don't see it when it's on the side anyway. It's just as long as you can turn it on and off, and it sits exactly the same height out as this one did. So I don't see an issue there, and I don't think the customer's going to be very upset so long as it works. And let's put this one back in. So, here we go. So we'll come around, and as with before, we've got to remember to slide our switch in first, and because the switch actually goes inside this bezel, the whole thing will just slide back in as normal. I might have to move this a fraction, guys, so I can get to it. And there we go. So that's gone down inside its little gap, and it's not going to go anywhere. And then this sits over the top, and then there's the two screws go into the back. So, and now what we'll do is we'll pop the power that goes to the main board in, make sure we've got all the pins lined up alright, and that sits across the flat part of here. And so I'll now pop this back piece plugs back in. I did have to pop it off to turn it around. It was just being so long, it was being annoying and in the way, so I just popped it off out of the way. So then this one goes back on the back, and he's in. So, and when these come down, just remember they sit on that flat piece of metal that goes over top of the RF modulator, so they just sit over there. And when this one comes down, when we finally put it back, it'll need to come over the front of that unit, because it comes down in a metal channel in the steel. So, but we'll show you all that when we get to it. So I'll just sit this on here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put the video back. I'll put the video back in. I won't bother putting the keyboard back on. I just want to make sure that has fixed the power switch, which I'm pretty sure it has. I'm pretty sure that's fixed our problem we had. So I'll just turn around, put the plugs in, and I'll just fire it up quickly to make sure everything's working fine. Video and audio. Right. Around. And so go up, we go on there, and where's our switch? There we are. Our switch on, and yep, it's firing up fine. Okay, that's fine. So then we'll switch it off. Yep, turned off. Turn on. Yep, it's powered on. We'll power it off by the power pack. Yep, no, that seems to fix that problem, and wiggling that switch around, and that it's making no difference now. So it obviously was that that power switch was faulty. So yeah, so that's good. Rightio. So I will now turn this off, and we'll attach the keyboard and see if that's made a difference. So just gently take this out of the way. I'm not putting it back together. I just want to double check everything first, guys. Remember, it's a lot less work if you've only got to pull it apart once. But this cable actually goes under a channel under here, so but when it goes back for the last time, I'll show you how that goes back in. And so we have the keyboard, and put it to one side so we can plug the keyboard in. And if you want to, a bit of isopropyl and some handy towels, just give these a gentle clean. You don't need to go mad on them. Just gentle clean, just to make sure there's no corrosion or oxidization or anything on them. So yeah, and you could use a cotton bud if you'd like, and do the sockets that are under here on the main board. You could give those a bit of a clean too. But these sit over top, so they should be pretty much okay. So we'll put the keyboard down. We'll just sit this gently on top, and hopefully this is the last time we're doing this. Right, we're not worried about putting it back together. As I said, we're not playing Donkey Kong or Zaxxon or anything like that, or anything mad. So we just put it on, just see if she'll boot up. Go into DOS, MS-DOS, and just check that everything's working fine. Okay, so here we go. Turn her on, turn the power on, and we're on, and we're up and running. Okay, so okay, what's going on here? Missing the 6 key's not working, so okay. Let's try these out. 6. Yeah, those are all okay. Yeah. I've lost Q. Y's gone. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll power it off and I'll just check to make sure I've got the keyboard plugged in properly and there's not an issue there. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just switch you off. Okay, so we don't have to take the main power out, and it looks like I've got a bit of heat compound over the keyboard as well, so better clean all that off. I don't really want that all over the keyboard. See, it even happens to the best of us, guys. Don't think that everything is clean and pretty and perfect every time. It does happen, so yeah. And I'm probably not the last one it's going to happen to. The worst thing is getting the stuff on your fingers and you end up with it everywhere. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll just gently pop this off to the side. It seems to be sitting in fine. They both seem to be sitting fine. So, pop these out. A clean piece of kitchen roll and kitchen towel, and we'll just give them a gentle clean to make sure there's nothing on the ends. It may have gotten a little bit of compound or something on them, so yeah, we'll definitely give them a bit of a clean. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll tap them back down. Yep, that's in, definitely. I can't put it any further down if I don't want to go. And that's in, that's all the way down. So what we'll do is we'll gently put that back over here. And we'll turn it back on and switch it back on. Find the power switch. There we go. Right. Start it up, and so let's try this again. 6. No, still don't have a 6. Still don't have a Q. Y. Oh, there. Yeah, no. Oh, we did get a Y, and then it didn't go again. Okay. No square bracket. Right square bracket. No A. Oh, okay. I'm just going to go through and check. It looks like there's something going on here. And even F2 doesn't work. Right, so hopefully it's not worse than what we thought it was. And I'm hoping it's not the board itself and a controller on the board. It could be one of the ICs or something on that little daughter board that everything plugs into, or it could be one of the plugs could have a fracture in it. I hope not, because that is actually hardwired to the board, which means we have to desolder it to put it back on. But I think we'll start with the keyboard, and I think we'll pop this keyboard off and unscrew it and check this keyboard first to see if there's, being a mechanical thing, that would be the best place to start. Just some of these you've got to be a bit gentle with them, with their age. So alright, so what we'll do is we will go through and I will take the keyboard off, move this out of the way, and then we'll come back to the keyboard.